Welcome to Matrescence and Wellness, a holistic guide to perinatal wellness. I'm your host, Brittany, and today we're embarking on a deeply personal conversation about the crossroads of motherhood, mental health, and major life changes with our guest, Stephanie Rubinato, writer, content strategist, and creator with a deep love for honest communication and meaningful conversation. Through her platforms Move with Peace and the Italian Reset, she brings a grounded, thoughtful approach to storytelling, marketing, and the quieter moments of daily life. Stephanie doesn't believe in fixing people. She believes in walking beside them, which is really important nowadays. She currently lives in Italy, where she spends her days writing, creating, and working as a fractional COO of Orti, a catering company and home restaurant with her husband. Stephanie, thank you for joining me all the way from Italy. Woo woo.
Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone.
I appreciate Stephanie for coming on. Me and her are part of the one of the feminist collective podcasts, and we were on like a little rotation, and she did her spiel, and I was like, oh, I have to get her on the podcast. Oh my goodness. Especially at the times we are now, and it's conversations I've had with my husband and with other people of like moving abroad, postpartum, or just finding a new life. On the podcast, everyone knows I went to France. And like, we love it, but you have the reality of like moving and then settling in and getting used to that culture. And so I want to bring that perspective on the podcast as well.
Yes. It's a whole new ball game when you're decide to stay put and not hang out for vacation.
But we're gonna jump right in. It's based on, because I found one of your travel article that you wrote and do a little bit of research on you. You used to work corporate, and then you decided okay, well, we're gonna move from corporate. Is that correct? So you made the decision to quit your corporate job and move to Italy. How did this immediately shift your structure, how you saw the world and everything?
Yes, it was quite, I would say, initially needed. I lived in New York for a long time, almost 16 years, and it was very much a city of vibrant energy and always on the go, always moving, always doing something, always building something, creating something, working. And my husband and I, we decided to change pace to something a little bit slower life. And partly also my family is scattered around the United States. So I have family in Texas, I have family in Jersey, I have family in Virginia, and my mom is in Virginia, 4 hours away. So we had family support, absolutely, but in the day-to-day of family support, it was a bit difficult. We relied on babysitters and friends. And so with my husband's family still based in Italy, we decided to take the leap and see if we could manage our lives in another country. Of course, my husband is from Italy, but when you move away in your 20s, as Hanson did, your life, your perspective, your views change. And so arriving in Italy, we initially kind of had the rose-colored glasses on, where we had done enough research, or I had done enough research on, okay, what the lifestyle is like, what the culture is like, what healthcare is like, but there was a whole plethora of things that I still did not quite get until I fully moved here. And my husband also had a bit of a culture shock as well, because New York is New York, and work and money and salary was definitely different in the hospitality industry where he was in New York than it is in Italy. And coming from a small town, going to a big city, and then coming back to a small town, that was a transition that was quite strain, I think, for both of us. I think we were both trying to see how the slow life could mold with what we had already lived through, but at the same time, still keeping a little bit of what we had before. But of course, obviously, that did not happen the way we thought that.
Well, I can, especially wanting to transition. My dad's a New Yorker, so I understand that wanting to leave the hustle and bustle to find something a little bit calmer is why he came to Florida for college. He has not left. He's like, I love New York. I'm just going to stay here because it's just chaotic up there. That's interesting that both of you experience a cultural difference or just a shock. Just even your husband who's from Italy or has family in Italy is kind of like, ooh, this is different. What would you say was the most shocking thing for you when you moved over to Italy comparatively living over here in the States?
I think the kind of patriarchy values that are really ingrained here of the head of the household being the father and him being the breadwinner and the wife kind of working. Yes, there are a lot of women who are working. However, still kind of the division of labor is kind of more heavily put on the woman at home rather than an equal division of things. Also, the mental labor is quite still put upon women, and this idea of you needing to be put together and that you don't have problems. I think that was still a bit hard to manage. For my husband, I think it was the kind of small town ideals of you go to the same place, you do the same things, you see the same people. You don't have deep deep thought-provoking conversations with people. It's very much surface. What's the weather? How are you doing these days? No one's really like, I had a shitty day, and I'm tired, and my boss is a jerk, and I just want to rage stream right now. They say that to everybody, right? They say that to people. You feel comfortable. You have to share that with everybody. Or you can't say, I really hate what's happening in the political field right now with the government. I really hope that we can change things. It's not really that kind of conversations don't happen. So, for my husband, who basically changed his life in his 20s and experienced a whole different world, and then coming back to, a set of friends that are still there, and having to find new friends for him, a new community of people and to connect to. There's maybe 1 or 2, 3 people maybe that have moved abroad and come back and understands his experience, so he's able to connect with them on a deeper level. And that was definitely intense for us.
Yeah, it sounds like both of you kind of experienced something a little differently culturally, where you're just like, ooh, I've done enough growing and we have to continue this level of growth. I don't like it. I don't think that's a thing. And you talked about it. Many people that transition or are moving overseas or I think you mentioned it, it's expat. Many expat parents plan very detailed, and you kind of sound like you planned a little bit out, but not for mental health, kind of like how you talked about for you and your husband. What is a blind spot that you probably are seeing now that you didn't see prior to moving overseas?
Yeah, I definitely think I really should have dived into what the therapy community was life here. I didn't really have a sense of how that worked. And if there were a plethora of therapists that spoke English, which I did not find a lot of people who spoke English initially. So I had a roundabout way of trying to get help. I initially thought, okay, I am seeking therapy right now in New York. We had 3 months before we moved to Italy. My son was born 3 months later. We moved, and during those 3 months, I was in therapy, postpartum depression. But then I couldn't continue because it was on my U.S. healthcare plan, and so when I moved to Italy, like I was in maternity leave, and then I was not going to get any longer. So it was a bit of a minefield, just kind of navigating, and then, of course, we were initially living with family, or my in-laws, and they don't speak English. So it's not as though I felt comfortable saying, I am not right, my brain is not right, I'm having terrible thoughts. I am in a depressed state here. Do you know someone who I can talk to? Like, I have to my mother-in-law, not even my sister-in-law, because I had 2 sister-in-laws. I didn't go, like I could really share that. So I had initially dived into some Facebook. Oh my God. I had initially dived into Facebook groups because here in Italy, that's how you connect with people, is through these groups, expats in Italy, expats in your town. There was a Black Americans in Italy Facebook group. So I just started kind of hopping in there and just starting to try to meet people in person and connect with some people online. And yeah, that blind spot was not understanding that the healthcare field with mental health, you can assume that there are many English-speaking therapists who can help. I had to rely on a community of folks. Basically, as I was following a lady, her name is Tia Taylor. She's based in Milan. And she had mentioned her therapist in a story or an IG story or IG post or something. And I sent her a message and I said, would you mind sharing her contact information? Can I reach out to her? And she said, sure. I said, oh, great, thank you. And I was able to finally find a therapist. She is a woman of color. She speaks English. She is based in Italy. And she understands the lived experience of moving to another country, being an immigrant. So all those dots had to be checked off, because I could not navigate being able to speak about what I was experiencing in a language that I had not fully mastered. It was different.
No, that sounds really scary. You're, again, like you said, you're in a different country. You're like, I'm going through all of these changes in my life, and no one really, in the most loving way, like no one speaks my language that can understand me with. And now you're just like, thank God for the Facebook group and for you finding community of just like, okay, girl, can you just slide in the DMs? Can you just send me this person? Because I'm at my wit's end, and I just need a piece of relief.
Just a piece of relief. 2019, you know.
Ooh.
So, you know.
So you got help at you got help at the right time, honestly, to be honest.
It was insane. COVID was a whole other experience, of course, for everybody. But quite different when you realize, like, Italy is like part of the epicenter of COVID happening, and then everything gets shut down.
Do you feel as though that the COVID and everything, like, it impacted your mental health journey at all? Do you feel as though that you With COVID coming in, especially over in Europe, 'cause I know y'all were the first to kind of experience it. Do you feel as though the community that you already built really helped you through that tough period as well?
I was just starting to build a community, so I didn't really have a lot of people that I could rely on. I think what COVID brought was this new level of anxiety and stress that I hadn't experienced before. So then I had to manage that on top of the layer of the postpartum depression, and then also my husband being stressed, and he was working in hospitality and in hospitality industry, restaurants and things. That all got shut down. So then I became, was made, breadwinner or person with a full-time income, and luckily we were able to make it through with my heart. I had started a video editing business and was working with small business owners, creators, brands, editing their content for social media. And everything was really online at that point. Like everything was just everyone was on computer. So I was like, okay, great, this worked out. COVID definitely didn't help situations, but living in Italy, it was quite odd seeing the duality of how other countries were responding and how the U.S. was responding and their measures that were being taken, and how Italy had such this strict enforcement of like when you can go out, where you could go, what documents you needed, all of these things that kind of just made you just not want to go out, And we had our children who were super small at the time, a year, I think, and my daughter was about 3. So, my son I don't think, was really aware of like what a pandemic was. My daughter, I think she developed kind of this fear of going out after a while because of the idea of a virus that makes you sick. That was kind of an impact on her mental health a little bit. So when things opened back up, it was not a super trauma event of her going outside, but she was aware, like, oh, if I go outside, am I going to get sick? And like, no, you're going to be okay. Just wear masks and everything. And, it took her a couple months to feel like, okay, yeah, I can go outside and I can play and everything's going to be fine. Which, in hindsight, like, wow, that can, envelop the psyche of a little 3-year-old. Imagine what it has done to other people and other kids and teenagers, adults, older people. I felt like it just...
Yeah.
Horrible.
No, you're not wrong. And again, you kind of said it, like you're going through it, and then now you have to worry about your mental health and the mental health of your child. You're just like, oh no, I didn't realize it was going to impact you this way. Oh my goodness gracious. That is something. In the United States, we have to, and you said it earlier, where you have to put on like the happy face, very much like, I'm happy to be here as a mother, even though you're going through very stressful times. Do you feel that that's the same in Italy over there? We're kind of putting on that happy face of pushing through like the mental anguish, the stress. Do you feel that that culture over there feels the same way with women in motherhood?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I feel when you're just out in public, you don't really like your inner turmoil is not on display. It is very much tucked away in a little basket or bag or something that you open up when you're at home, or you're in a safe space with friends who you feel you can share it with. You really are, you feel looked down upon, but you do feel okay if I really talk about how I'm feeling. People either are not interested, don't care, or they don't have time to listen to this. Like, it's not my problem. It's your problem. You deal with it. Figure out a way, and let's go have lunch. Let's go have an afternoon and some wine. And I feel definitely the outlet for people to talk about their issues here is not widely known or felt open to do, because I'm noticing that there are even older generations of people here are in turmoil, and I have read and known like friends of family members who have committed suicide. It's really sad that, the older generation of people who are suffering don't feel as though they have someone they can talk to, or even anyone or someone or organization they feel that they can even share what they're going through, because they feel it's a burden to talk about this. When there are absolutely organizations here in Italy that you can get support for your help, but I don't think they're just out there in the open, like really out there, like people to find information about, like to go and look on the computer, like a lot of older generation. Some people don't have computers at home or don't even use a laptop, or don't they don't navigate the internet in the same way, as the younger generations do. So, and then if they don't feel comfortable talking about it with family members, and they just keep it to themselves, then that gets bottled up and builds up over time.
Yeah, I think regardless of like Italy or America, I think a lot of older generations are kind of very much like what happens in the house stays in the house. Very much, it does not leave these four walls, and then it gets internalized. And then kind of when they get older, they can't hold it in as much. And kind of like you said, that it becomes their version of like depression and anxiety, and unfortunately harming themselves because they can't hold it in, because that's basically what they've been taught. Where our generation, we come in and we're just like, no, I need to talk to somebody. I need to see somebody, because I think we've seen it with our family members of, I don't want that happening to me. I want better for myself, and I want better for my children, and I just want better. So I'm going to find the resources. With our elders, it's kind of like, you can lead them, like you lead a horse to water, but that does not mean they're going to drink it. Kind of, they're stuck in those ways type of feels.
My gosh. Yeah. You need to drink some water.
Coming into our last couple questions, I will ask and you talked about it, about moving to Italy and basically working the healthcare system, even not just for you, but maybe even for your husband on occasion, even for your kids. How does that look for you, navigating the healthcare system in a different country, in a language that is not your own? How have you adjusted to that?
Yeah, I definitely needed an advocate, someone who spoke the language like the first couple years, for someone to be at every doctor's appointment to just explain what I could not say in the language. I had studied Italian before we left New York, and I was studying by myself, and once I got here and I was immersed into the language and forcing myself to really speak, I did not have the weight of full-on fluency to be able to explain exactly what was happening to me or my family or my children, So I had to have my husband or my sister-in-law be with me at doctor's appointments to explain what was going on, because I could not explain it in a way that was clear enough for people to really understand what I needed. And honestly, I thought I was envisioning in my head that it was going to be difficult to navigate in terms of like getting services, but here in Italy, they have a national healthcare system for citizens, but then they also have the private sector where you can go to a clinic or whatnot and get seen. But you don't pay, astronomical fees of, everyone to the dentist, because it's not included in national healthcare, so you do have to pay for it. But for a cleaning at a dentist office, it's 50 euros or 100 euros, and you're getting like a deep clean or something like that. And I have been immersed in the healthcare system because I had gotten very sick, stress-related illness. I got shingles.
Ooh, my mom had that. My mom had that twice, and she ended up getting this. Yeah, she was bedridden for like a day or two. I feel that's oof.
It was awful. It was awful. Shingles is awful, and I didn't realize how much stress that I was under and how much it really just produced in my body this reaction. And I went to the hospital. I had gotten like an MRI. I had gotten antibiotics. I had to stay in a dark room for like 2 days. I was so sensitive to light. I got this rash on my chest and my back, and like it was because I was so stressed. And it's like, okay, I will no longer make stress a priority like this. If something's wrong, they are going to manage it in a new way, because it will kill you. It will try to kill you. It will kill you or try to kill you. And I don't need that. I just absolutely don't. So that was a wake up call for me. I did feel very safe in good hands with the doctors who helped me as well. I also, navigated trying to find an OB. That one that was initially recommended by a friend of my husband, and then that OB recommended me to another specialized OB who had experience with like pap smears or regular pap smears and things like that. I had been getting them in the US, and my OB at the time, she said, it'll clear out. And then I come here, and I go to the specialized OB, and he says, you have precancerous cells. We need to go to the hospital and have these cut off from your cervix. Like, we have to get you in for a 1-day procedure where you need to have these precancerous cells removed. I'm like, oh my God, this is nuts. Like, wow. So, like, I was scheduled for a 1-day procedure. I was put under, and they took out all the precancerous cells. Luckily, I'm no cancer at this moment, and I had regular pap tests. So, like, I was like, okay, yeah, the healthcare system here is thorough. They really care about what about you and what's going on with you, and as something, right? There's no like, because of color of your skin. Oh no, you're not in pain or you're not experiencing this. It was none of that. These are the issues you have, and we need to treat this right away. Like, he was like, let's save your life. Like, okay.
Yeah. That's an interesting experience, especially like in a different country where you experience, like, because like you're expecting care from one way, but then you get it a different way. So I'm learning that, and I learned that each country handles their healthcare system. So it's interesting to hear the intricacy of the Italian healthcare system from someone who's experiencing it, especially a woman of color, of just like, this is my experience in it. Because I think a lot of us are hesitant because we experience the healthcare system here in the United States and it's not always the kindest to us. So I think hearing again, I don't think there's like anything like, there's no outliers, but hearing it's kind of, okay, that sounds nice. It's a little bit more equity. It's more even, if you want.
Yeah.
A lot more.
want to make sure you're healthy. We want to prevent, you from getting sick. We don't want you to get sick and then, treat you.
Yeah, it's I like to call it putting the Band-Aid over the bullet wound of just like, we stopped the bleeding, we cleaned it up. We didn't necessarily, but we did the things. Do you feel as though the move from New York to Italy helped lessen the stress for you and your husband and your family? And do you feel as though, do you have new markers that indicate success for your family comparatively to living in the United States?
I think the stresses are a little bit different now, in the sense that the quality of life is definitely, we are in a much more slower pace of life, and we hold value with spending time with family, building community, and connecting with people, and growing as a community. I think the work is still a little bit of a navigation for us, because we have been working in kind of like high salary jobs, and then now here we had to pivot, and I, started to work remotely. My husband, he was initially working for restaurants and decided after some years that, this is not working, so he's going to build his own business, and that was the home restaurant. Because in the hospitality industry, if you're not working in a very big international city like, Venice or Rome or Florence, the salary for like working in a restaurant is not necessarily comparable to other parts of Italy or other parts of Europe. So being a business owner, you have definitely more freedom and flexibility. You have to hustle in a different way, right? Because you're making your own income. But for my husband, that is what is best for him, and I see that. So I think our markers of success are instilling our own sense of work ethic for us, and how we can build our own business and thrive. I think that's our marker for success. We're still in a building phase, but it's growing more. I kind of have shifted a lot in my fields of work, where I was doing finance work, and then operations management work, and video editing, and project management. So now I'm working to kind of cohesively center it all into one thing, which is with the Italian reset, which I'm working on with two other lovely ladies, Nadia Murdoch and Carla Pacholi. We are all women of color who have come together, where we would like to host not monthly retreats, but twice a year retreats for women, not just in the US, but also globally, who would like to come to Italy for a reset, to replenish, to rejuvenate, as well as sisterhood itself. And so we are building that out for 2027 to have people come join.
I love that. No, I'm starting to see a lot more of those retreats. I kind of started seeing it when I graduated. I graduated from college in 2014. I kind of saw it like locally in like my area. I live in Florida, and like especially like come to like Georgia, because Georgia's very like, you're here, like come to Georgia or come to Texas or come to like a small area where you can just decompress. And I think now, as times are changing, I think a lot of us in the groups that I'm in, a lot of us are communicating, I would like to go somewhere that's not the United States and travel and find something outside that gives me a new perspective on life. And I think the Italian reset is perfect, that you and women of color are planning of just finding a new not finding a new culture, but experiencing a new culture, getting away, doing things for yourself, to like the food, the language, the experience. It's just, I think it's great that you're expanding it to give someone else a new perspective I think that's great, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah, we really want to impart to people that it's we want people to come away with feeling like they have new tools to help grow, but then also have a community of people that they can connect with and, continue to connect with further down the line, like we want people to have strong memories and be able to learn new things and feel that they have a safe space to be open and also have joy as well.
I love that. I love that you found that group through Facebook and social media, finding community, and now you want to develop community for another group of women, especially women of color, just to come and feel supported. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, we made it to the last question.
All right.
For you, Miss Stephanie, as a media creator focused on authentic storytelling, what is the ultimate enduring message you hope your own story will inspire other mothers to go out and tell about their lives?
I would say if you have just that one person, it doesn't even have to be your partner or your spouse, it can be a friend, it can be an acquaintance even. If there's someone who you feel can just listen if you have something you have to say, or you feel like you need help and you feel like you need someone to support you, it's okay to ask. Because I kind of waited a while to ask for help. And I thought I could do it on my own, but I couldn't. and it spiraled really bad for me. So I don't want someone else to spiral really badly. And, fall into a place where they feel like they don't have hope or they don't have any way of getting out of the situation or feel like it's hopeless. There is a space for help if you need it. And you can always say if the person you want to ask the help from, if they're able and open to hold that, to carry that for you. Of course, people might not have the capacity to do that at the moment, but, you can ask always, it's always okay to ask for help. And that you shouldn't feel like you're a burden to anyone for doing it. So, yes.
I think that's great. I think, regardless of where you are, I think asking for help is really hard, especially for women, especially for Black women. Again, we like to, as so carry the cloak, that cloak, and it's like, I'm good. I don't need to ask for help. And I don't know how if your husband's the same way, where you're like, you can just ask for help and I will be there. And you're like, no, you don't understand. It's fine. And then when it all implodes, they're just looking at you like, you could have just asked for help and I would have helped.
Communicating that now. I am communicating. I need help. Yes. Thank you. I will ask for it. Because I can't be a one woman show. We all can't be one woman, shows every day, all day. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
You, Miss Stephanie, you said nothing but a word. But that brings us to the end of this profound conversation. Oh my goodness, I'm actually really sad we're ending this conversation. Miss Stephanie, you have so many things happening. I'm going to put everything in the description below. Where can the people find you if they want to contact you, if they want to keep up to date with your Italian reset or your husband's company or your editing company? What all down the description below. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, so I have just gone back onto the interwebs, the socials, platforms. You can find me on Instagram, Moves with Peace. You can find me on YouTube, where I'm relaunching my channel, Moves with Peace, as well, or moveswithpeace.com, where my blog is. And my husband's home restaurant catering service is 4tcatering.com. And if you're interested in coming to Italy, we will be sharing more info on our Instagram, The Italian Princess, or the website, theitalianprincess.com. So thank you so much, Brittany. I'm so happy to be here today.
Thanks, Stephanie. I'm going to put all the links in the description below. For any mothers listening who feel the weight of postpartum depression, cultural isolation, or the struggle of a new language, please hear this. Your experience is valid and you are not failing. As we reflect on Stephanie's experience, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment or a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Your feedback helps. And again, thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.